All right, Greg and John, time to turn on your microphones, please. Alderman Position 1 now. Greg Marcom, the incumbent, and John Barzizza, who is the challenger in this race. And in the coin toss, the first question is going to go to Greg Marcom. And let's go ahead and deal with the school issue first. Right. What concerns you most, either about the 3Gs and also school funding and capital improvements, and how much do you feel will be asked of you as alderman to help along those lines?
Thank you, Richard. Appreciate it. Certainly, when the December 20th, 2010 was when I was sworn in to be an alderman. December 20th, 2010 was the day that the Memphis City Schools surrendered their charter. So I'm intimately involved, have been for the past 4 years, with this changeover to municipal schools. The 3Gs, that was inevitable. It wasn't going to happen. I'm certainly willing to work with the school board to make sure that if there is an opportunity to get those schools back, that first I want to make sure that they want those schools back, that we can afford to have those schools back, and that we have the children and the teachers to staff those schools without much additional cost. When we were going through the budget process this past year, I was adamant about the school board putting in more money for capital improvements. I'm a firm believer in getting our schools back up to snuff. When we got those schools, there's been deferred maintenance on them for several years. So certainly the capital improvements are definitely need looking at, and I certainly want to fund those first and foremost.
Very good. John, your thoughts?
First of all, I disagree with Greg in regards to that the schools were a lost cause to begin with. I think if with proper negotiation, the rest of the municipalities all use the same attorney, and I'm not taking anything away from Tom Cates at all, but we tended to press the issue a little harder than was necessary. I think without a doubt, and it's already been mentioned, that we have a very good chance of getting the elementary school back if we persist. I think we have a fair chance of getting the middle school. As far as the high school is concerned, it's real estate in Germantown. We need that real estate in Germantown. We don't need that real estate in the hands of Shelby County. We could use that facility for administration or many other uses for the city. I'm wholeheartedly in favor of working with Shelby County Schools and doing everything possible to negotiate. And it's going to take some time. It's going to take some patience. It's going to take some serious wisdom on the part of all concerned, school board, board of aldermen, and our future mayor, to ensure that the people are served on the southern side of Germantown, on the south side of Germantown. These people south of Poplar are not happy. They're not happy at all. Thank you.
Let me push you both a little farther on that issue. Specifically, let's talk about the 5 schools we got. And we went through, I enumerated the one father who went through some of the many issues he felt needed to be addressed with the 5 we have. Would you support a tax increase or a bond issue to take care of those making the physical facilities better?
The physical plant at Riverdale obviously needs a lot of work. That school was built when I was in high school. I grew up out here, and I'm 66 years old. I've been here a long time. I've only spent a few years away from the city, but I watched Germantown grow from 250 people to what it is today. And we didn't have neighborhoods back in those days, folks. Germantown Heights was the first to come along. But as far as raising the taxes, I think it could be necessary. I think that's left up to the voters. I think a referendum on the part of the voters in order to ensure that we have the monies necessary, or possibly a bond issue. But the monies need to come And we need to, without a doubt, improve upon the infrastructure of our schools, of the 5 schools.
So you do agree on the need to do something. Let me ask you, Greg, when it comes to tax increase or bond issue, your thoughts?
Richard, without a doubt, there's probably going to be some additional need for capital money. I'm certainly willing to look at a bond issue. I think that's more than adequate. Tax increase, I agree with John. Let's put that to the voters and see what they say. But we have a AAA bond rating. We're able to borrow money at good rates. We have an impeccable bond reputation throughout the bond community. If it's needed, and I think it is. They only had $250,000 in the school budget this year for capital improvements. That's not a lot, and there's a lot of things that need to happen: roofs and parking lots, and so we're going to be looking at some money, and a bond issue might be the way to do it.
Okay. Let me ask you guys about smart growth. Pretty much the same question as I gave the other 2 candidates. What you feel about this plan for Old Germantown specifically, the Western Gateway too, and concerns that people have about the increased traffic, and do you feel that it needs to be modified, and if so, how?
Well, first I'll address the Old Germantown, and I assume you're talking about the crossover road that has been proposed. I think that's one of the best things that came out of smart growth was that crossover road. And let me tell you why. It's going to take Germantown Road from the south and connect it to Germantown Road from the north. It makes total sense. Instead of having to go through and turn in front of the Germantown News and wait your turn at the traffic signal, it makes sense. It also puts the onus of the state now having to maintain that road. Instead of cars and traffic beating up our road, they're traveling on a state road. This is not going to be a detriment to Old Germantown. It's not. The Germantown News Building stays, the commissary stays, the Checkerberry shop stays, the church stays. So I am in favor of the switchback. With regard to smart growth in general, I think it's a good plan. We have got to. And Ms. Hill was saying she is in favor of remaining a single-family residential community. We don't have that luxury anymore. We are out of land. We have got to develop property for residential, live, work, play, so people can come in and spend money in Germantown and help fund our schools. So I'm in favor of smart growth. I'm in favor of a little bit more dense population.
John, your views?
In regards to Germantown Road going through Old Germantown, as a kid growing up out here, that's where our parents took us. That was our entertainment, going to the railroad station. It was built the same year I was born, and it was a rebuilding of what used to be there. In the city hall, as it was back then, so where Park and Recreations is today. It is the charm of our city. I disagree with Greg in regards to the routing. After driving it carefully the other day with a long-term resident that I've known my entire life practically, I saw at least 10 businesses that would have to uproot, move. How are they going to be compensated for the move? How are they going to be compensated for loss of business if they're even if that road 4-lane or 6-lane or 8-lane, whatever is developed, it's got to go somewhere. And the route that I saw this past Sunday takes out a lot of businesses. It's going to affect a lot of lives. It's going to affect a lot of business, a lot of people who have put their sweat and blood into building their businesses. I highly disagree with the fact that it will help with the traffic. Well, it will help with traffic, yes, but it will also help with those people who are not so savory and gives them a quick exit to the south out of our community, a real quick exit, especially now that Germantown Road is expanded past Wildwood Farms to the city limits of Memphis.
Let me push the issue of economic development a little bit, because I did mention there were a lot of questions about restaurants, but you don't have to talk about restaurants specifically. But we do know about the big project that is about to get started in the Neshoba area. That is some people excited, but it also has some people concerned about the traffic that that's going to bring and what it means for Germantown. Where do you feel the city is on that issue? Would you like to see more or less, and how would you like it changed if you feel that way?
Are you speaking specifically of the proposed hotel?
Right, where I believe it's a Hampton Inn and Suites that's going in there.
Many years ago, there was a proposal to put a hotel in Germantown right across from City Hall. It failed. It did not go through. So why do we need it now? We've got several hotels that are on the fringe of, some in Forest Hill, some approaching Cordova. Is there a dramatic need to have additional hotel space here? I've been was in the hospitality industry, if you will, for 43 years. Very successful at it. Knew hotel people, restaurant people. We need more restaurants for sure, folks. That's for sure. But I don't know if we need that hotel. I think it's going to bring a lot of congestion into that area that is not necessary. And as far as the restaurants are concerned, we can't bring back Yaya's. That particular location went out of business, folks. The manager folded his tent. But we need more restaurants. We need more entertainment in this community, not just for the elderly. I see programs that are for the elderly, and I'm one of the elderly. Real quick, I'm part of the elderly. But what are the kids doing? We got to bring some entertainment for the young people, and in order to bring more people into this community, more young families into this community, we need to think in that regard. We need to think in terms of how we can entice the younger families to offset the aging population that we have here in Germantown.
Mr. Marcom, not only the Neshoba project, but economic development as a whole.
Well, the Neshoba project, I believe, is going to be a great addition to the GPAC area. I know GPAC is very excited. The staff at GPAC is very excited about what's going on over there. I think there are going to be opportunities for restaurants and the hotel in particular. We've already learned or heard that acts that come into Germantown want to stay there. They want to be close by. So I think that's going to be a great economic development driver. The Thornwood development is going to have restaurants. It's going to have jewelry stores. It's going to have a hotel. You will be able to walk across the street and have dinner and then come back to GPAC after the show. So I think that's a great economic development boom for the community. That's what we have wanted. We want walkable communities, and I think you certainly are going to be very pleased with what you see over there. With regard to economic development, when I first got here 4 years ago, I asked how we would contact a business to court them in Germantown. They said that we would write them a letter and put a Germantown magazine and send it to them. Well, that wasn't acceptable to me. In the last 4 years, we've hired an economic development consultant, developed an economic development policy, and we are moving forward. This year, we did our first annual business and industry report, so we're very proud of the steps that our economic development program has made in the past 4 years.
All right, gentlemen, let's move to public safety next. The concern about crime is always out there, and do you think that more needs to be done to give our police locally more help, or do you feel that some new measures, do they need to take effect, or do you feel the general consensus of the public here in Germantown is what it has been for many, many years, and they feel pretty safe?
Richard, I'm very passionate about public safety in Germantown. That's how I started my service with Germantown over 20 years ago. I was a reserve police officer out here for 15 years. I've been very involved in with the police department, and I will certainly work with them to keep this community safe. We just recently had a situation in Poplar Estates where we had concerns of speeders down one of the streets. The police department was very proactive and has taken great steps in helping with that. Our police department does a fantastic job. The men and women of this department are very, very dedicated. If at some time when these developments come along, if we warrant needing more police, I am certainly 100% behind that. Our police department and our fire departments, I can't be more prouder than the work that they do. They are fine individuals, and I just can't say enough for them. But yes, I'm absolutely 100% for public safety before anything else, and especially our schools. Especially our schools. We want to make sure that our schools are safe, be it a Shelby County school or a Germantown school. We have Germantown police officers in the Shelby County schools. So we want to make sure that any person in this community is safe, whether you're a guest or a student or a citizen. We are responsive and we want to take care of you.
John, what's your assessment of the public safety situation in Germantown as it stands now?
I'd like to come back just for a second to economic development as and something I wanted to bring up. The development committee or the development person that we have is working 2 days a month at the cost of $150,000 a year. I don't like that. 15% of the storefronts in our community are empty, especially in our neighborhood closer to Forest Hill. There are a lot of empty storefronts. I don't like that. I don't think the people of Germantown like that. I think that we could work together with a group made up of members of the chamber and even people who reside in Germantown but don't necessarily have a business in Germantown to develop a strong presence in the faces of those people that can bring new business to Germantown, new restaurants to Germantown. In regards to the police, I can attest that the police and paramedics and the firemen came to my home on April 6th of last year, and because of their actions, they saved my wife's life. I love them with all my heart and soul, just like I love my wife. I ran into one of the paramedics at the festival, and we got to talking. He made the call. I hugged the guy. We've got an incredible police department, and without a doubt, I think what we need to do is ensure that they have all the proper equipment necessary to ensure that we're kept safe in this community.
Let me take you to code enforcement. I asked this of the Position 2 candidates. Do you feel like enough is being done there? Are we slipping some? Do you think there needs to be more of an effort applied as far as that's concerned?
Yeah, I think there has been some slippage on code enforcement to some degree, but I'm more concerned about the fact that we just had a grocery store to be within 30 feet, or is being built within 30 feet of the backyard of two people, well, an elderly lady and a gentleman who's got terminal cancer. Back years ago, when developers would go into the community and talk about their new development, they would go in the community and talk to the people in the neighborhoods. I know for sure I've been there, and working in tandem with these folks, decisions were made together. The grocery, there wasn't a lot of conversation about Whole Foods going in. Wasn't a lot of conversation at all. And there are two other locations, getting back to economic development, that the store could have gone into, where Schnucks was in Forest Hill and where Kroger will be exiting on Exeter.
All right. I believe the Schnucks location is already spoken for, but let me ask you about code enforcement. Greg, what do you think about what's being done and what could be done?
Thank you for repeating the question, because John got a little bit off topic there. But code enforcement, as Mary Ann said earlier, we have some staffing. I think we're a little below staff over there. That is one thing that I really want to look at. When I originally started my service here in the community on commissions, one of the first commissions I served on was the Neighborhood Preservation Commission, and I helped establish the Neighborhood Preservation Ordinance that our code enforcement officers follow today. So our code enforcement officers do a great job. They're just understaffed and a little overwhelmed at this time, but certainly once our new administration gets set in place, I want to look at code enforcement. I think it's very important to make sure that our neighborhoods are remaining viable and clean and safe from a code enforcement standpoint. So yes, code enforcement is one of the top priorities.
All right, and I want to give you each a chance to address how you feel about guns in parks.
Okay, guns in parks. Again, I was a reserve police officer out here for 15 years. I can't remember making a call into a park where we ever answered a situation about a gun. I'm a carry permit holder. I'm a police officer. I think that's a right that our Constitution gives us, is to be able to carry a weapon. That being said, it's children need to be safe. Children need to be safe, and whatever this city needs to do to keep those children safe, I'm all for it. Be it park rangers, be it police officers, be it signs that say don't carry a gun or we don't suggest you carry a gun. But I think that it's hard to say. It's hard to say. I want to listen to the citizens and get their input, both ways. I want to weigh the issue with the citizens.
Okay, John, your turn.
First of all, I believe in gun. I believe in guns. It's in our Constitution. I think the state passed a law that made it legal for people to carry guns into the park, carry guns into restaurants, and as I said, I was in the hospitality industry, and they're allowed to carry guns into restaurants and bars where there's alcohol being served. When they did that, when I was on the Hill, and it wasn't concerning the industry, it was concerning the mentally handicapped. I was up there lobbying for the mentally handicapped, and I talked to several legislators. I said, "What is wrong with this? This is not good. This is not a good thing to allow guns to be in an establishment where there's alcohol." Now we've got the ability to take guns into parks. I totally disagree with guns in parks. We need to keep our children. I agree with Greg. We need to keep our children safe. I haven't heard of any incidents in the Germantown area, but we do have a safe community, and we are a thinking community, and I would hope that that we never have a situation where a gun is pulled on a family or a group of children playing in the park. So, but again, it goes back to the Tennessee legislature. That's where it begins. And so I'll be up there this year. I'm going to talk about it again. I mean, even when I'm taking time away from my main purpose, because guns in public places, other than when carrying permits, like Greg is in reference to, I just can't see it. I just don't see it at all. Thank you.
All right, we're going to keep all eyes on you because we've come up on time for your closing remarks, gentlemen. John, you get the first remark.
Well, as I said, I'm geriatric. I've lived out here all my life. Like I said before, I've seen a tremendous amount of change. It's been a wonderful change. This town is a community that I love. I moved away for a short time. I moved back. I moved away for a short time. I moved back. All total, out of my 66 years, I've lived in Germantown, 60 of them. 6 different homes, but not like Mary Ann's been in the same house 20 years. I can't come close to 20 years in one house. But I've been very, very community-minded, not Germantown per se. I've been a broad-based community person. 40 years ago, 40 years ago when my son John was born. 9 months after he was born, he was diagnosed as mentally handicapped. So it changed my direction in my life in regards to how I was going to do things in the future. 7 years later, my second son is the same way, mentally handicapped. So I spent an inordinate amount of time for 22 years working on the board at Shelby Residential Vocational Services, rebuilding serves. I have 43 years of business experience, a tremendous amount of maturity in leadership. I have been on the Hill in Nashville and in D.C., and I think I'm a very good candidate for this position. I think I will make a good alderman. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. All right, Greg?
Richard, I want to first off thank you for being on our side here in Germantown tonight, so appreciate that. Thank you. As a graduate of the Leadership Germantown Alumni Association, I want to thank them for hosting this forum tonight. I want to thank my family, my father and my daughter who are here tonight, and my supporters. It means a lot that you're here with me tonight. Our family moved to Germantown in 1978. Been here ever since. I love Germantown. After living in a place for 36 years, you really come to know it and love it. Germantown is my home, and I'm proudly invested in it. If you have not done so, please pick up one of my campaign cards outside and review my list of qualifications. As you can see, I've been dedicated to this city for the past 20 years, and I love this city. I have a passion for this city. I'm a hardworking individual who's uniquely qualified to serve you as alderman. Ladies and gentlemen, let's move Germantown positively into the next generation. We should choose leaders who have shown a consistent interest in our community by taking the time to develop their skills through leadership classes, who have worked and know our neighborhoods and served tirelessly on our boards and commissions. These are the citizens who have answered the call to move this city forward. Abraham Lincoln once said, "No man is good enough to govern without another man's consent." Tonight, I ask for your consent to continue to represent you as alderman. Thank you all very much. I appreciate you being here. I am Alderman Greg Marcom, and I would appreciate your vote.
All right, thanks, gentlemen.